The day I installed my level 2 EV charger on the side of my garage, I thought I'd solved all my problems. No more waiting at public charging stations. No more range anxiety. Just convenient home charging for my new electric SUV. I stood back, admiring the sleek white unit mounted to my house, cord neatly coiled in its holster. What I didn't anticipate was Karen from 3 houses down. It started on a Tuesday morning. I was leaving for work when I noticed an unfamiliar pink electric car plugged into my charger. My charger, on my property, connected to my electrical panel, draining my electricity. I walked over confused and found a note tucked under the windshield wiper. Thanks for sharing. So nice to have a public charger in the neighborhood. Karen, public charger? My blood pressure spiked. I looked up at the sign I'd specifically mounted above a unit. Private property, not for public use. Apparently, Karen couldn't read, or chose not to. I unplugged her car and went to work, thinking it was a one-time mistake. But when I came home that evening, there she was again, the pink monstrosity, plugged in and charging away. This time, I marched straight to her house 3 doors down. A woman with a severe blonde bob answered, wearing a floral blouse and an expression that suggested I was interrupting something vitally important. "Hi, I'm Alex from number 42, I said, forcing a smile. I think there's been some confusion about the EV charger at my house. Oh, the charging station. Karen's face lit up. Yes, it's wonderful. So convenient. I've been meaning to thank whoever set it up. Such a community-minded gesture. I blinked. That's my personal charger. For my car. It's on my property. Her smile didn't waver, but her eyes hardened. Well, if you didn't want people to use it, you shouldn't have installed it where everyone can see it. It's practically on the street. It's on the side of my garage, on my driveway, connected to my electrical panel. I think you're being rather selfish, she said, crossing her arms. Electric vehicle owners should support each other. It's better for the environment when we share resources. I'm not running a charity charging station, Karen. That electricity costs money. My money? I'll mention it at the next HOA meeting, she said coolly. We'll see what the board thinks about residents hoarding community resources. She closed the door in my face. I stood there, stunned. Hoarding? Community resources? It was my private property. Over the next week, Karen's pink car appeared in my driveway every single day. Sometimes twice. I'd unplug it. She'd plug back in when I wasn't looking. I installed a lockable charging cable holder. She complained to the HOA that I was discriminating against other EV owners. The HOA president, thankfully, laughed her out of the meeting and confirmed I had every right to restrict access to my private charger. But that didn't stop Karen. She started parking in my driveway at odd hours, early morning, late evening, even during my work hours. My neighbors told me she'd been going around the neighborhood, telling everyone I was hoarding the charger and refusing to be a good environmental citizen. That's when I decided to set a trap. I called my electrician buddy, Marcus, and explained the situation. He started laughing so hard, he nearly dropped his phone. I can't believe this, he wheezed. Okay, here's what we do. The next day, Marcus arrived with a brand new EV charger, nearly identical to my real one. We mounted it right next to my actual charger, but this one wasn't connected to my electrical panel. Instead, it was connected to nothing. It would appear to work. Lights would turn on. The car would show it was connected. But absolutely zero electricity would flow. The dummy charger. We also installed a small, hidden camera with a view of both chargers. Marcus programmed the dummy unit to display a message after 15 minutes. Connection error. Please see property owner. Then we added one final touch. A bright new sign above the dummy charger reading community charging. Please use this one. The original sign remained above my real charger. Private property. I waited. It took less than 6 hours. I was eating dinner when my phone buzzed with a motion alert from the camera. There was Karen's pink car pulling into my driveway. I watched on my phone as she got out, looked at both chargers, smiled smugly at the new community sign, and plugged her car into the dummy unit. She stood there for a moment, watching the lights activate, then got back in her car to wait. The dummy charger's display showed connected, and even had a fake charging animation. Perfect. I set a timer for 20 minutes and continued eating. When I walked outside, I found Karen pacing next to her car, staring at the charger display in confusion. The error message glowed on the screen. "Oh, good, you're here," she snapped. "Your community charger isn't working. My car isn't getting any charge." "Huh," I said, walking over. "That's strange. Let me check." I pretended to examine the unit, pulling out my phone to show her. "Oh, I see the problem." "What is it?" "This charger isn't connected to any power source." Her face went blank. "What?" "Yeah, it's just a dummy unit, not connected to anything. No electricity flowing to it at all. But the sign says... The sign says community charging. Please use this one," I said, my voice innocent. "It doesn't say it works. I installed it for people like you, who kept ignoring the private property sign on my actual charger." I pointed to my real unit. "That one works fine. Has been working perfectly for my car every single day." Karen's face turned an impressive shade of red. "This is entrapment." "No, this is my property, and I can install whatever I want on it, including decorative chargers that don't work." I crossed my arms. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to stop using my driveway, stop using my charger, real or fake, and stop telling the neighborhood that I'm hoarding community resources. Because if you don't, I'll share the footage from my security camera with the HOA showing you've been trespassing on my property and attempting to steal electricity for the past 3 weeks." "I'll sue you," she sputtered. "For what? Installing a fake charger on my own property? Good luck with that." I pulled out my phone and showed her the camera footage. "I've got time-stamped evidence of every single time you plugged in without permission. That's theft of services, Karen. The police will be very interested." She stared at the footage, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. "Now unplug your car and leave." "And Karen? That pink car? I can see it from my window. If it shows up in my driveway again, I'm calling the cops for trespassing." Karen yanked the dummy cable from her car with more force than necessary, got in, and peeled out my driveway, leaving rubber marks on my concrete. I never saw her pink car in my driveway again. The dummy charger stayed up for another month, a monument to entitlement and a warning to anyone else who thought visible meant public. Eventually, I took it down and sold it online. But sometimes, when I plug in my car at night, I catch Karen glaring at me from her front window 3 houses down. I always make sure to wave.